Good morning, everyone. My name is Teacher Mary. I'm here to take Class 8 learners through a science lesson on energy. Now, Teacher Mary is a teacher in one of the schools in Kiambu County, and the school is Mary Immaculate Kiamobi. And I hope that the learners there at home will follow up and will be better at the end of this lesson as far as energy is concerned. Now, energy is a very important topic because we use it in our everyday lives. Even our parents at home, we also use this, the knowledge on energy to do various things and to take care of ourselves. Now, first of all, I start with the unit objectives. Now, the unit objectives are very important because they form the basis of the subtopics in the topic energy. Now, I write the topic, the objectives on the board. Unit objectives. The first one is explain what energy is. The second one, describe different types of energy. The third one is describe transformation. Of energy. The fourth objective is to state the methods of conserving energy. And the fifth objective is to appreciate the need to conserve energy. Now, this is a very important topic as far as KCP is concerned, because we always find more than 5 questions in the KCP paper, and that's why I would like our learners to be very keen. At home, you also have textbooks that you can use in learning this topic. You can research on a few things, and you can do the activities which are usually outlined in the books, especially the primary English, the primary science course book. Now, I've said from the objectives. Now, the objectives are meant for the learners. So, at the end of this unit, the learner should be able to explain what energy is. The learner should be able to describe the different types of energy, describe transformation of energy, state methods of conserving energy, and appreciate the need to conserve energy. We need to conserve energy so that we can use it when it is not available. Now, the subtopics of this topic are 1, meaning of energy. And this is from objective 1. The second subtopic is types of energy. And this is from objective 2. And the third subtopic is transformation of energy. and it is from our third objective. The fourth subtopic is methods of conserving energy. And it's from our fourth objective. Now, the fifth objective is just about something that we appreciate after looking at the meaning of energy, types of energy, transformation of energy, and methods of conserving energy. It is up to the learner to be a better person, to be a better citizen, appreciate the need to conserve energy, because if you don't conserve energy, at one time we will not have that energy to use. And remember, we always thought that we should take care of nature, and nature will take care of us. And if we don't take care of that nature, obviously nature will not take care of us. So on to my first subtopic, which is meaning of energy. I hope you have looked at the objectives. Maybe you have written them somewhere so that you don't forget them, because from the objectives, the KCP questions are set. Now, we are looking at meaning of energy. Now, I'm very sure from the time that we woke up, we have done a few things. For example, like me, I've moved from my home to KUTV. I have used some energy. When you wake up, you stand from your bed. You use some energy to move from where you are to another place. So at all times, unless maybe we are sleeping, we use some type of energy. So in that case now, what do we mean by energy? If we don't have that energy, we'll not be able to move. If we don't have energy, we'll not be able to move from one place to another. Even the learners, you'll not be able to play, you'll not be able to go to school when you don't have energy. So energy is simply termed as the ability to do work, because it is the one that makes us to do some work. Even when you pick a spoon to eat, even when you're chewing your food, you are still using some energy. So energy is the ability to do work. Now, before you decide on the work that you are going to do, you must use some effort. That is the effort that you are terming as energy. When you lift something heavy, you need some effort. When okay, let's take an example of, you have 3 kilograms weight, or even a 1 kilogram weight. You need more energy to lift the heavier load, that is 3 kilograms, than when you're lifting the 1 kilogram weight. So in that case, we need energy to give us what we require to lift objects. When you're going to school in the morning, those who walk to school, you need some energy to go to school. So how do we get this energy? We get the energy from the food that we eat. We are going to talk about that. But before we look about where we get the energy from. We also have, apart from the food that we eat, we also have, for example, vehicles. Those who use vehicles from home to school and vice versa, that vehicle, whatever you use, any means of transport, it requires some energy. Where does it get this energy from? It gets it from the fuel, from the petrol or the diesel, which is put in the vehicle. So we get other forms of energy. Apart from the food that we eat, we also have other forms like fuels. Apart from diesel and petrol, other types of fuels are like kerosene or paraffin. Those who use kerosene stoves, you must put some kerosene in the stove so that you can be able to cook. If you use a G-coal or a charcoal stove, you have to put some charcoal. If you use maybe a traditional fireplace or a traditional hearth, you have to use some firewood so that you can get the energy which will produce the heat. Now, I'm here at the KUTV studio, and you can hear my sound from home. What am I using? What energy is being used here? If there is no power, my sound will not be transmitted to where you are. So the energy which is used here is from electricity. So we also have electric energy, which is used maybe in some gadgets and other electrical appliances. Like you may have them at home. Maybe you have your blender, you may have a toaster, you may have an electric iron. All those ones use energy. They use electric energy. Now, we have, for example, we have torches that do not use electricity. They use dry cells. So they get the energy to light from the dry cells. We have even the cars. Apart from just fuel, we also have the car battery. In the car battery also provides some energy. So all these ones are types of energy. They produce energy. Now we also have others like the windmill. The windmill gets its energy from the wind. We have some generators. They also need some energy, and we have electric. We have diesel. We have petrol generators, and they get their energy from the petrol or the diesel which is used in them. So we move on to our next topic, which is types of energy. Now, the energy that we use can be grouped into two. One is potential energy, and the second one is kinetic energy. So, the two types of energy depend on their positions. For example, potential energy is energy due to rest. When something is resting, when you are sleeping, you're not doing any work, but you have some energy which will start functioning maybe when you stand up to do something. So at this time when you are resting, you have what we call potential energy or energy at rest. You have energy at rest. You may have water in a dam. As you learned in class 7, the water in a dam contains what we call potential energy or energy at rest. At times when the water is moving, maybe it is being moved by generators or turbines. At that time, it is energy in movement. And that energy, maybe when you are moving, when you are running, when you are kicking a ball, when you're talking. That is what we call kinetic energy. So this is energy due to movement. It is energy in motion. So we see that when you're resting, you have potential energy or energy at rest. When you start working, and working does not just mean that you are writing or playing. Even when you stand up, even when you are eating, when you are lifting something, like I'm lifting this pen, I'm lifting these papers. So when I lift something, when I'm walking, I'm using some energy. Even when I'm standing, I'm still using some energy. So this is energy in motion or energy due to movement, and that is what we call kinetic energy. Now, let us now look at potential energy. We are looking at potential energy or energy at rest. We want to look at types of potential energy or the types of energy which is referred to as potential. We have said that potential energy is energy which is at rest, energy which is not being used. This is what we call potential energy. It is also called reserved energy because you are not using it. You have reserved it, maybe for later use. Now, this energy, which is contained in bodies or objects at rest, is called chemical energy. So chemical energy is what we possess when we are resting, and we have got it from the food that we eat. Now, this chemical energy, the chemical energy which we are talking about, in humans, it's got from the food that we eat. In vehicles, it is got from the fuels. When we are producing heat, maybe for cooking, we get this energy from the firewood, from the charcoal. So we also have chemical energy in firewood. This one is in human beings or animals. When you want to produce some heat, we use firewood, we use charcoal, we use kerosene. We also use petrol in vehicles, we use diesel. We also use dry cells in radios and in torches. So this one is fouled. This is what we call fuels. So the fuels, firewood, charcoal, kerosene, petrol, diesel, car batteries, and dry cells correction there. This is what we refer to as fuels. The car batteries and dry cells are not fuels, but we have firewood, charcoal, kerosene, petrol, and diesel being the fuels which contain chemical energy, which is turned to kinetic energy when they are burnt. Now, back to chemical energy in the food that we eat or the food that animals eat. Now, the food that we eat contains chemical energy. When it's digested in our bodies, heat is released. I'm very sure that at one time maybe it was cold or it was chilly, but after taking breakfast, you started feeling warm. This is because you ate some food, and during digestion, when food is digested, heat is released. So we feel warm. Or maybe you are feeling cold and you are in a sweater or a jacket, but when you eat your food, now you feel warm and you remove that sweater. This is because your body has produced some heat. It has produced some heat from the food that you have taken. So remember, initially it was chemical energy, and then when you have eaten the food, it's already being digested, you start feeling hot or warm because now the chemical energy has turned to another type of energy. Now, this energy is also used when we do some work. It is the one that enables us to work. And you can, for example, remember at one time, maybe you are hungry, you are feeling so hungry, and you're not able to do anything, the learners at home, or even grown-ups. Sometimes when you're so hungry, you just don't feel like doing anything. This is because you don't have the energy. So the food that we eat is turned into heat energy and the energy that we get to do various activities. Now, sometimes you eat too much. When we eat excess food, we use the one that we require, but you also find that the excess food will also be turned into excess chemical energy. This excess chemical energy is not used, so it's better you eat just enough food for yourself. Because if you eat more than necessary, the rest will not be used. It's going to be stored in your body as fat. Then you start fighting with your weight. Okay, so we just need to eat enough food so that that food that we eat can be made good use of. There will be no excess stored as fat. Now, apart from that, we also have some foods that give us more energy than others. So in class 5, you learned about the classes of food. You learned about the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the vitamins. So you find that carbohydrates, fats, and oils provide more energy than other type of food like the vitamins or fruits and vegetables. So if you find that maybe you're working, you're a casual laborer, you do a lot of work, a lot of casual work, like watu wa mijengo, I think they should eat a lot of carbohydrates. They eat a lot of carbohydrates, and maybe you have seen some eating a very big chunk of ugali. This is because they need that much energy to do whatever they are doing. And maybe other groups who don't do a lot of work, like small babies, they may not require a lot of energy-giving foods or carbohydrates. And maybe they need more proteins because they need to grow. And maybe the old people, they need vitamins, more vitamins, that is fruits and vegetables, so that they can be protected against diseases since they are already old and their bodies may be a bit weak. Now, I now move on to kinetic energy. In case you have any question, you can send it to the number on your screen. There is a number on the screen. You can send your question there so that we can have time to answer your questions. Now we move on to kinetic energy. And this is energy due to movement, as I have said earlier. It is energy in motion, and it is usually transformed, it is changed from chemical energy. Like when we start working, we change chemical energy to kinetic energy. Now, the kinetic energy we have examples of kinetic energy, and the first one is heat energy. These are types of kinetic energy. We have light energy, another form of kinetic energy. We have magnetic energy and electric energy is another form of kinetic energy or energy due to movement. Then we have sound energy. The 5 are types of kinetic energy because, as you may have learned, like heat energy in class 5, light energy in class 6, magnetic energy, you must have learned it in class 7. The same case applies to electric energy, and sound energy learned in class 4. So you must have known that these are types of energy, and they are forms of energy that are in motion. They can make things to move. We don't, we use things, okay, these types of energy can make things to move from one place to another. Some of them are transmitted. So, for example, heat energy is transmitted from one place to another. The same case applies to electric energy. They can be transmitted from the source to another place. Like the electricity that we use here, which is current electricity, it was not produced here. It was produced in some of the dams like Masiga Dam, Kidaruma Dam. So those types of energy were produced there. From hydroelectric power generators. The hydroelectric power generators formed that energy in those dams, but we are using it here because it was transmitted from there to this place and to our homes. So we are able to use them because it is energy in movement, electric energy. It was able to be transmitted. It was transmitted through wires from where it was created to wherever we are, and we use it. Okay, so these are forms of energy, and we are going to look at them one by one. So we start with heat energy. Now, the sources of heat energy are electricity, gas, and this one includes biogas. This one is natural gas. Natural gas is got from petroleum products. Biogas is got from waste materials. We can have human waste, animal waste, even decaying kitchen refuse, decaying plants. We can get biogas from there. Then we have firewood, petrol, diesel. All these ones are things that give us heat energy. They give us heat energy. So we can use electricity to warm our houses or to cook. So because it produces some heat, we can have gas, that is natural gas. We can use natural gas to cook, to warm our houses, and even to produce light. But we are not on light now, we are on heat. We use biogas to cook our foods. We use firewood also to cook our foods. We use petrol or diesel in our vehicles. It produces some heat. And then these are the sources of heat energy. We can also add charcoal here. Those are the sources of heat energy. But remember, the main source of heat energy is the sun. Now, during photosynthesis, the plants absorb the heat from the sun. They combine the heat from the sun and the light also with carbon dioxide to make food for the plant. And this energy is stored in the plants or in the food that we eat. So we also have electricity is got from, maybe we have various things that give us electricity, as learned in class 7. We have generators, we have geothermal wells, and other sources of electricity. So we are only looking at what gives us heat energy, and we have outlined them there. So I move on to light energy. And before we go to light energy, I would like you to remind yourself, the learner there at home, the methods of heat transfer. So we have 3 methods of heat transfer. We have conduction taking place in solids. It is a heat transfer. It is a method of heat transfer in solids like metals. Then we have convection. Convection is heat transfer in liquids and also in gases. And we have radiation. Now, radiation is a heat transfer which takes place where we have a vacuum. That means doesn't need a medium like a solid or even a liquid to be transferred from one place to the other place. And the heat from the sun reaches us through this method of radiation, and maybe also through places where we have a vacuum. Okay, so there at home you can write down the uses of heat. Write down the uses of heat somewhere at home. So now I move on to light energy. Light is very important in our lives because light enables us to see. Now, I would like you to remember a time when there was a power blackout maybe in your house, and maybe you are doing something. You had to stop whatever you are doing to look for a source of light because you could not see, even when you open your eyes very wide. And we have a power blackout. You will not see anything. So it means that it is that light that enables us to see. So we move on to light energy. Light energy. Now, so the light energy enables us to see. The very important aspect of light is that it enables us to see. Now we have sources of light and we have natural sources. And we have artificial sources. Now, natural sources of light are the sources which are not man-made. We didn't create them. We found them there and they give us light. For example, you didn't know man created the sun. Man found the sun already there, the moon also, and the stars. Those are natural sources of light. We have even animals that produce light, like the fireflies. And the glowworms. These are insects that give us light. Maybe you have seen them at night, moving around, glowing, giving us some light. So these are natural sources of light. Then we have artificial sources like electricity. or we have electric bulbs. Then we have candles. Sometimes when we have a power blackout, we usually use candles. We use even fires can be used. We have paraffin or kerosene. And we have other types of lamps. So we have paraffin or kerosene lamps. So we have electricity bulbs, electric bulbs uses electricity. We have candles, we have fires, we have paraffin or kerosene lamps. So those are the natural and artificial sources of light that we use. They enable us to see. Okay, we move on to another type of energy, and this is magnetic energy. Now, magnetic energy, I know some learners there. I know most learners, or some of them, huwa wanasema spark. Hiyo spark, hiyo inavuruta vitu, unaweka karibu na pin, inavuruta hiyo pin. When you put it next to a pin, it pulls that pin. That is what we call a magnet. I'm very sure you have learned about magnetic energy in class 7, and you know the magnetic materials. So we are going to look at magnetic energy. Magnetic energy, not magnetic materials. So we have natural and man-made magnets, but we'll not go into that because you learned in class 7. We are only going to look at magnetic energy. So magnetic energy enables us to pull or push things, and that's why it is a form of kinetic energy, because you may have a pin somewhere and you want to lift it, or a heavy object, and you can use magnetic energy to lift it to wherever you want it to be. So this is energy that helps you to attract object. The objects attracted are moved from where they are to where you want them to be. Now, we have materials which are attracted by a magnet. It is only those materials that you can be able to lift or push using a magnet. And I would like you to write down there at home the magnetic materials. Now we have some acronym which helps us sometimes to remember the magnetic materials, and you can remind yourselves by writing them down. And it is a very short, there's something very little on these. So we move on to electric energy. And I'm reminding you to send your questions on the number on the screen. Now, electric energy, as you have learned in class 7, is energy which is created maybe using water, that is hydroelectric, by hydroelectric generators, geothermal wells. You can get electricity from there. And it is used for lighting our houses, heating our houses, and we can also use it in electric appliances at home, like the blender, like the toaster, We also use it maybe in our electric irons, and we can also use it in other gadgets like the phone. So that is how it is used. And as I had mentioned earlier, it is created at one place in dams and used at another place. That is why it is energy in motion, or a form of kinetic energy. Now, we have sources of electric energy. The sources are torch batteries. Torch batteries are what we call dry cells. Then we have car batteries. These are wet cells also, wet batteries. The difference is that we use a dry chemical in the dry cells and we use a liquid in the car battery. That is why it is a wet battery. Then we have bicycle dynamos. The bicycle dynamos helps to create some light in the bicycle. So we have hydroelectric generators. We have geothermal generators. We have wind-driven turbines. And solar panels. So as we have said, the torch batteries have got a chemical in them. So at rest, it contains potential energy, but when you're now using the torch to light, it contains the chemical energy is turned into kinetic energy, which is light energy. Then we have the car battery. We have the chemical, the acid in it. It contains chemical energy, but now when the car is in motion, it is turned into kinetic energy. We have bicycle dynamos. As we learned in class 7, when the wheel of the bicycle rotates, the energy there, which is mechanical energy, is also kinetic energy. Then we have hydroelectric generators. We have turbines which make the water to move very fast, creating some energy, which is in this case mechanical energy. Now we have geothermal wells. Now geothermal wells are hot springs. We have some hot steam that comes from underground. Maybe you have learned in your social studies like Olkaria. So we have those geothermal generators. They have turbines which make the steam to move around, creating some form of kinetic energy, which later turns to electric energy. Then the same case applies to wind-driven turbines. We have the turbines. Turbines make the wind to move very fast and create some electric energy. The same case applies to solar panels. They absorb the light from the sun and turn these into I'm saying that we have the solar panels. They absorb the energy from the sun. After absorbing the energy from the sun, this is what is turned into electric energy, and those are the sources of electricity or electric energy. Now, there's a question for you. You should, or rather an activity, you can do it simply at home. You take a bulb and connect it to dry cells using a copper wire. and you feel the bulb. When you feel the bulb, you can write down what you are going to feel, whether the bulb is cold or whether it is warm. And of course, you can also see the light. So that is your activity to do at home. And now I move on to sound energy. Now, sound energy is a topic learned in class 4, and it is a form of kinetic energy, rather. It is a form of kinetic energy because energy can be transmitted through solid materials. It can be transmitted using solids, and as I said from the beginning, my sound is being transmitted to your TV. It is being transmitted through wires in the TV and maybe through the air. So we are going to look at sound energy. So sound energy is produced when an object vibrates. So we have sound energy. I'm saying sound energy can be transmitted, and it's energy due to vibrations. When something vibrates, there is sound produced. Now, the learners at home, can you hold your tongue and try to talk? You find that you will not be able to produce a sound because your tongue is not vibrating. So in our vocal cords, we have vibrations, we have our tongue vibrating, and that is why we are able to talk. So we have some sources of sound energy. Maybe you have had a horn being blown, and maybe nowadays you may not have a horn. Maybe you have had a vuvuzela being blown. So a flute being played. Maybe when you just hit the table, you can hear a sound. When you hit a drum, when you drop something on the floor, like a coin or even a utensil dropping by mistake or by accident, you hear the sound. So we produce sounds when we blow something. So sounds are produced by blowing, hitting, dropping something, plucking, like a guitar can be plucked. When the wires are plucked, you hear some sound of the guitar. So these are ways of producing sounds. You can blow, for example, a horn. You can hit a drum. You can drop maybe a coin. You can pluck a guitar. So when you do these things, you are going to produce some sounds. Now, having said that, I think we are going to wind up, and we are not able to go through all the subtopics. We'll go through them later if we have time. And I would like to pass this to maybe the class 8s. Now, I'm very sure that most of us class 8s have known about what we call emerging issues like the HIV and AIDS. Now we have the coronavirus. Now, the coronavirus and the COVID-19. Now, one of them is a disease. I would like to bring to your notice that one of them is a disease, and the other one is the cause of the disease. So the corona is a virus or the organism that causes the disease that we call COVID-19. So from wherever you are, you should be able to follow up things that are happening in our country right now, because you may never know. It may come in your exam being an emerging issue, and you are not able maybe to answer the question, and you you have everything that you need now to know about the emerging issues. Now, the next topic, which we are not going to cover today, is transformation of energy and energy conservation. You may go through them in your books, in your course books. You have your course books at home. You have your primary science. And please go through the past KCP papers on this topic. And I would advise you to take, for example, when you take 1 year, like 2019, you look at all the questions on this topic. You go to the other year, maybe 2018, 2017, 2016, all the way to maybe 2000, and find out all the questions on this topic, that is sound energy and all the other subtopics on energy, and this will help you a lot in your revision. And not only on energy, but all the other topics in science. You revise all the years. When you take a topic, you make sure that you revise all the topics that are in the KCP past papers. You can look for a KCP booster, you can look for a KCP smart ways. All this will go a long way into helping you in your revision as you wait for the exam. Now, having said that, I want to wish you well. I want to wish you well as you watch KUTV. We have lessons every day, primary lessons from 8 to 8:45 a.m. Please be keen and listen to the teachers who are coming here. They are giving very good lessons. So when you are keen on that, I'm very sure it will help you in your revision as you wait for your KCPE. So until next time, it is goodbye.